So hello everyone, my name is Gail, and today we're talking about a study looking about the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on autism research. So we all know that we're living through a very interesting time that has had a wide range of impacts on all parts of our everyday life. And from our research team, we've definitely felt the impact of the pandemic on the ways in which we do our research every day. So this study looked at the impact of the pandemic on autism research, in particular on clinical trials. Now, there are many different types of research that has been impacted by the pandemic, but in particular studies that have a time-sensitive component. So big longitudinal studies with multiple time points or clinical trial research. So this study specifically looked at clinical trials because clinical trials, or trials in which a health intervention is being evaluated, are publicly registered in the public domain. So the authors looked at this publicly registered information and looked to see whether there were reasons why people had discontinued or stopped the clinical trials after the pandemic had started. So they looked at data between 2020 and midway through 2021, and of about 200 studies in the autism space that were active at the time of this period, a very small number actually were discontinued or terminated in this period. And about half of them declared that COVID-19 was the reason they stopped their research. And the authors found that pharmacological studies, or studies that were sponsored by pharmaceutical companies, were much more likely to be discontinued than other types of behavioural type of interventions. Now, the reason this is important is because clinical research is really expensive to run and it takes a really long time. And so the impact of the pandemic on this kind of research can have a really big implication for the outcomes of this research and the impact that this will have on the community. So encouragingly, it seems that only a small number of studies have been discontinued in this early phase of the pandemic. And also interestingly, we are anecdotally hearing that there are opportunities that have arisen from this pandemic in shifting researchers to think about new and different ways in which we can do research, such as adopting telehealth methods or video conferencing ways in which we can obtain data. So really interesting study, and the link to the research is in the video description.